Hi, my name is Kevin Thomas, W1DED, and this is Q5 Worldwide Ham Radio, where we bring you conversations with the operators shaping the future of our hobby. Today, I'm joined by Dave Kucelin, 9 Alpha 1 Papa and 9 Alpha 1 United November, call signs you've probably worked but might not know the full story behind. Dave comes from a remarkable four-generation ham radio family in Croatia and started contesting on VHF when he was just 10 years old. From those early days to building up one of the top HF contest stations in the region, his story is one of persistence, reinvention, and serious teamwork. And yes, he once operated for decades on land he didn't technically own. Before we get started, a quick thank you to DX Engineering for supporting Q5 Worldwide Ham Radio. Their CEO, Tim Duffy, K3LR, is a strong advocate for sharing the human side of amateur radio, whether it's contesting, DXing, parks on the air, or building your first antenna. DX Engineering helps make these conversations possible. Dave, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. It's really a pleasure for me.
So let's start with your last name, because I know I probably mangled that. Did I get the pronunciation correct?
No, you're pretty okay. It was quite okay.
So you're located where?
I'm located in Perched, which is a small city in the western part of Croatia on the northern Adriatic coast. We are, as I said, on the coast and just on the opposite side of Venice, Italy. Everybody knows Venice, so we are just on the other side of the sea.
So I certainly want to get into all of your contesting success, and particularly 9 Alpha 1 Papa. But before we get there, I'd like to understand how you got into ham radio to start.
Well, I come from a ham radio family, let's say. My grandfather was a ham. My father is still a ham. I'm a ham, and even my daughter is already a ham. So we have four generations in one house, to say it that way. It was at the beginning of 90s that at the age of 5, 6, I got interested in what my dad, what my grandfather were doing in that shack up under the roof, and I got bitten, I think, and still for almost 35 years after, I'm still quite in it.
So how old were you when you got licensed, and how active were you early on?
It was a little bit complicated because in Croatia at that time you couldn't get the license until you were like 16, and I was 6 and I wanted to do the QSOs, so I was using my dad's call, and it was quite strange because a lot of people were thinking I was a YL with the voice of a kid. And everybody knew that 982 Radio Delta, which is my father, it's an old person, and actually not old at the time, but like I'm at the moment. And it was strange for some people hearing that call with that voice, but it lasted.
Was your father and grandfather into contesting?
Actually, grandfather was he started the club in Porridge here in the 50s, and he was more into construction of and repairing of radios and so on, mostly constructing at that time. And my father was a contester. He's still a contester, and the club was actually doing mostly VHF contesting from here. And I started myself. I think my first contest was in 1995 at age of 10 at that time. And it was a VHF contest, and I remember I was begging him to bring me to the QTH to try to do a contest by myself, and it was just great. And after that, it just went smooth down. I was participating in every VHF contest that was available, and I remember one morning, I think it was 96. I wake up in the morning and we had the shack in our house where we were living. And my dad said, why don't we try on HF? There is a contest. It's a CQWW. It's the name of the contest. I said, okay, let's try. And I tried it out. And after that, I missed since 95 just one contest. The one CQWW. I did all the SSB and CW parts since then.
So I noticed in 3830 that you do both single operator as well as multi-multi. Do you have a preference?
I do prefer multi-single, actually. Multi-single is what we were doing mostly the last years. Since 2001. We started actually building up the station on the first QTH in 2000. After we did a joint adventure with 987 Papa guys, which were some other young guys like me from the city, which is about 20 kilometers away. And we got to a yacht contest on the island, which is a little bit off of the city. And we did some kind of like a field day there. And it was just great. And we caught up all together, and we are still, it's the core of the 9A1P team. And it was actually mind blowing after doing so many single ops in the years as a kid to have some guys like me that enjoy the same thing, and it was just great. And then we decided immediately after the contest to build something on our VHF QTH, to build something for HF and start there the story starts.
And that is 9 Alpha 1 Papa.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What year was that?
At that time, we started with, we had just one tower with a very small tower at 30 feet. And we put up a 5-element yagi for 10 meters first. And I did some single op on 10 from there. And it was great. And then we decided, let's try to do something more seriously. And we put 3 monobenders on that small tower and some wires for low bands. And we did CQWW 2001. I think it was, SSB 2001 was the first multi-single entry. And we were amazed by the time we had not even a real amplifier, just some 300 watt stuff. And it was great to achieve almost 5,000 QSOs the first time from our QTH without any knowledge, without anything of HF contesting. And after that, we tried to improve in every contest since then till 2018, when there was a big storm where we lost all the antennas on the old QTH.
So in 2018, it was completely wiped out.
It was afternoon in, I think it was April or May, and it was a very local thing, like a small tornado or something, because Patrick 95 Charlie Whiskey was at the QTH when it happened. He was inside the container, and he was doing some 6-meter activity. And he said just once that he felt that the container is shaking, and after 10 minutes he went out and he saw all the towers down except one tower with the biggest yagi, actually, with the 40-meter yagi that survived. But that tower is still there, and I think it's unbreakable.
So what happened after 2018? What was the rebuilding process like?
First of all, the thoughts were we were gonna quit because we lost everything, and all the antennas. We had multiple monobenders for each band, and it's no stacks yet, but it was quite big antennas. And we thought, okay, that's the end. Let's see what's gonna happen. And then a lot of friends helped us morally and even by giving us some towers and some things for the QDH. And then we said, okay, we may try to rebuild it. Then we found 9A1TT actually gave us a big 30-meter tower, and it was like, wow, we're gonna make something big. We never had really big towers there. And when we asked the permission to put up the tower, the landowner, which until that time we didn't know actually who was, showed up and said, that's my land, guys, you're here, okay, for 30 years, but you should leave now. So once more, we felt like everything falling down again and just didn't have any idea what to do. And I started some research around our QTH here around Porridge to find some QTH that would be at least as good as the old one. And I set some primarily goals like to have, of course, open paths to the USA and to Japan to the east. Possibly with sea view, so the antennas would see the sea actually, which we had on the last QTH, and I think it was a very important part of the success. And I found one QTH, and of course, one more important thing is the electricity. We should find a place where we can get some electricity, because otherwise, some other stuff like generators or something like that, it was not an option for us. And we found actually that place, which is the actual QTH now, and it looked amazing. So it's a ridge over a valley with a river, and the river flows into the Adriatic Sea at 3 kilometers from us, and the view is amazing. We actually have sea path from like south 180 degrees to the north over west, and then we had the river valley to Japan and to the east, again with some 200-meter drop off just in front of the antennas. So something everybody would like to have, I think. And we said, okay, now let's find a way to get that permission to put something there. And it was a long way. We spent almost 2 years to get the land and to get the permissions and to get everything. And in 2020, we put up the first tower and make the first tests. And after that, we started building up the station again, which now is almost complete. Let's say we still miss 2 towers. We have 4 of them up at the moment. So basically, I think by fall this year we should be ready to be on the top. What we had on the last QTH when we were at the top of our goals of having QTH.
So I've got to be honest, I'm still stuck on the fact that you had a ham radio station for 30 years on somebody else's property and no one said anything about that?
My grandfather in 1985 went to the locals there, which was the ground, the land at that time was owned by the county, let's say. And he went to the county and asked, can we put a station there? And at that time, hams were in a good eyesight from everybody, because we were they were actually, I wasn't there. They were seen as something important in the society, and they had good connections with the authorities and so on. So they said, okay, no problem, put it there, start to work, and nobody asked for any paper. And then as the time passed, we learned that actually this county property was not really county. It was from some Italian guys, which then sold to some Croatian, and at the end to some astronom center, which was nearby, got all the land there they bought it actually. So we didn't have any paper to prove that was given to us. So we were without anything.
Pretty amazing story. So, fast forward ahead, it's 2020, I think you said. Now you're rebuilding 9 Alpha 1 Papa. What do you have there today?
2020, we started after Corona party, HI. We started to rebuild completely. So we put up that first 110 feet tower. It's a big, massive, self-standing tower, and we put up a stack of 2 times 5 element yagis for 20 and a 3 element full size for 40, and some 15-meter yagi just at the very low, at about 8-10 meters below the ground as a provisional antenna. That was the first tower, and after that we put another guide, something like our own 55 but homemade, 120 foot tower with 3 stacks of LZA antennas, which were donated to us by Krasi. He gave us as a incentive to come back to the air, and I'm still very grateful for this gift from him. And we put them in a stack, so three of that tri-benders, and they were fixed to two bottom ones were fixed to east, and the top was rotary. So we had two directions at the same time, with the monobenders on the first tower and with the tribenders plus triplexer on the second tower. And as the time passed, we noticed that 10 meters was going to come back to life, and we put another tower with 2x5 element there. It was also some kind of provisional tower, but it's still up and still doing its job. And after that last year, we put the last, for now, tower. It's 25 meters with another 3-element full size for 40, which is pointed east. The problem is basically on this QTH and every QTH on this part of Croatia, we have a few times per year very strong winds, let's say 100 kilometers per hour. It's pretty normal. So we don't have any rotators. So we try to keep as possible fixed antennas, because everything commercial that we tried, it breaks after 1 year is the maximal length of life of a rotator on our QTH. Whatever you put on it, even a small tri-band yagi. So we have basically all antennas are fixed except these tri-banders, which are rotary and for multipliers and so on. But we have two main directions, northwest and northeast. About the low bands, there is a commercial tower on the side which have some cell phone antennas up, and we use it for hanging up antennas for low bands. So we have a vertical dipole for 80, which is hanging from the tower just on the ridge of the slope. It works great. And the top band is still a problem. We have a delta loop at the moment, vertically polarized, with the top on the same tower, but I'm still not happy with its performance. So we should try to put some verticals in the future, but it's quite hard because the soil there is very bad. It's just rock. There is no ground, no earth at all. It's everything is rock. So you need really a lot of radials to make a vertical work properly.
So Dave, one of the questions I have is this your station or is it considered a club station? When you say we, who are the other people?
It's a club station. That's a radio club from the city where I live, which is perched. But it's mostly a joint adventure with guys from Pazin. Since after we moved, some of the guys, life brought them a little bit away of ham radio. So basically, it's me and Mirko doing most of the job since 2020 on the QTH, with the help of Patrick time to time 95 CW. But that's almost the core. Adi was our club member, but Adi Sugar 55 Mexico, but he moved to Lima Zulu some years ago, and so on. Everybody went a little bit away, and we lost the core of the team after the storm in 2018. Not due to the storm, but due to life things.
So you'd mentioned at the first QTH you were using a container. Are you using a container at this location also?
Yeah, we have a container. It's 6 per 2 meters, so it's 12 square meters, and one mobile home, which is used for sleeping and living and everything else. So all the station is basically very, very small, except the antennas, which are big.
And what are you using for equipment inside the container, inside the shack?
The club doesn't have anything special. It has just one FT1000 and one OM power amp. But we bring our private equipment all the time. Mine is actually all the time there. I never bring it home, and also other guys from the club. At the moment, we were using FT1000 MPs mostly, but due to some problems with the TX phase noise of that radius, and they became quite old, and we even have some complaint from the CQ committee about our signal on CW. We changed last year to TS 590s on all the 4 or 5 positions, and now I bought another TS 890 from Kenwood, so I think Kenwood's gonna be even. We do like Yezu, and maybe there is an option for FT 101 to come to the shack in the next months, but we're a little bit concerned about having all the stations the same, because if you usually we have a lot of guest operators, so the way that doesn't matter on which radio he sits, you have to explain just once what is the radio, what is the switching, and how to use it. And if you have a lot of radios, then it's a bit complicated, even interchanging. And if something breaks, you don't have spare parts for that radio. But if you have all from one brand or one kind of radio, then it's easier to swap and to make things work.
And what about remote? Are you able to remote the station?
There is a remote since a month or two there. It's a flex radio, and it was given by 9A1TT for testing purposes. And it's with the RHR software stuff, and it actually works very good. But I'm a little bit concerned about having it open for all our members, because I'm a little bit afraid that if we start to work remotely, then nobody will ever show up again on the QTH, and it's quite hard to maintain such a QTH, and we are not many people, and even that pair of us, it's hard to get the free time at the same time and to operate and so on. So I don't know. I don't have a real idea what to do in the future. There is the possibility, and it could work, but I'm not sure I really want it, because the best part of the contests in multi-op, it's the part when we are there laughing all the time, making jokes, sitting, and winning the contest in the meantime.
So, Dave, I noticed during the CQWP XCW contest, you're using a different call sign. I think it was 9 Alpha 73 Alpha. Was that still from 9 Alpha 1 Papa?
Yeah, it's the same QTH. I used that call sign already 2 times in the past. There is a rule in Croatia that you can't use the same special call only once per 5 years. So if 5 years doesn't pass between the two activities, you have to choose another call. So I was 9877 Alpha, 88 Alpha, 73 Alpha in the past, and so on. I take all the time that I do some single op in WPX, I take some of that calls, because it's quite funny to be the only mult and to get the guys call you.
So I noticed that you also entered the single operator, single band category. Why did you choose to do that rather than all band?
We don't have antennas for East mounted at the moment, because we removed the tri-banders, what was before AWRL SSB. We put there a stack on the same tower before were the tri-banders. So we put a stack of 3x5 element yagis for 15, and it's a monster. It works absolutely great. But antennas are fixed, so there is nothing to East, nothing to Japan, nothing to and I didn't want. I worked, I think, was it SSB? Yeah, in the SSB part, I there is a photo somewhere. The guys were laughing on Facebook, I think. There's a photo. I put a rope between two towers, and I erected the tri-bander on the hanging on the rope, beaming east, just to have something to the east for SSB part.
How did that work out?
So. Yeah, actually it did. It was about 8-10 meters above the ground, but to get the molds, it's okay.
So last question before we wrap up. Your daughter is also a licensed ham radio operator. Have you got her into contesting?
Yeah, she got 9 Alpha 3 Sugar Kilo Lima call, and he likes to operate the Yota, the youngsters from the air contest. I never push her. I don't know why. I know probably why, but probably she likes to be with me and to have some common interest. But I never push her to join that, and she just came once and said, "Daddy, can I do that contest? I think it's funny." And it's already 3 or 4 times that she did the contest alone. I was just there sitting by her, and she's now 10, 11 years old, and she started when she was 7, I think, or 8 the first time.
Carrying on the tradition. Good job, Dave.
Thanks.
I appreciate you joining me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. It was my pleasure.
My name is Kevin Thomas, W1DED. I've been talking to Dave, 9 Alpha 1 Papa, or otherwise known as 9 Alpha 1 United November. Thank you for joining me.